We are the Chemical Syndicate,
and this is a Batman podcast.
This week, Episode 0, Why We Love Batman. Hey, welcome everyone. We are the Chemical Syndicate, and we are a Batman podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Shane.
I'm David.
And, wow, this is officially happening.
We're doing it.
We have a Batman podcast. And it's over.
And that's it. That's all we wanted to say.
Welcome everyone. Now I am incredibly happy to be doing this alongside my best pal, David. We are both lovers of the Batman. And, you know, this has been a passion project that I've been slowly developing. Not that it's very hard to do, to get yourself a recording device and to create a basic format and to talk about what you like. However, this feels a little more personal, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
A man of very few words, but those words have weight.
That's what you want in a podcast, is a guy that doesn't really speak all that much, right?
Sometimes. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, first and foremost, I would like to thank those of you that have taken the time to listen to the what I've called the Genesis episode, because this is episode 0, big fat 0. The purpose of this is to more or less introduce you, the listener, as to who we are, what we're about, and what this whole journey is going to be, really what it's going to look like. The roads we're going to take, how diverse and deep that rabbit hole goes with Batman. We're talking about over 80 plus years of history with Batman in the mythos, the creative side of things. You look at the multimedia stuff that Batman has created and merchandising. I mean, what doesn't have Batman's name or face on it or a bat symbol?
McDonald's, nope. McDonald's has Batman all over it sometimes.
Yeah, that and Taco Bell and Burger King and whoever else. I mean, who didn't get like a Happy Meal with a Batman toy in it or some collectible? I mean, even when you go to like some place like Kohl's and you've got something with Batman on it. So Batman has left his mark on the world in modern mythology and today's pop culture that has been wholly embraced. Whereas once upon a time, it was a joke to be a Batman fan or a comic book fan in general. Yeah. I mean, I feel like even though when we were growing up, it still wasn't like, it was popular, but it wasn't like the most popular thing. Mm-hmm. You know, it wasn't like, I'm getting chicks because I like Batman. Well, in 2021, you can. But the journey that we're going to take, and hopefully you'll ride along with us, is one where we're going to explore as many facets of Batman as a culture and as a being, whatever you want to call it, an entity. The journey is going to take you left, right, up, down, wherever we want to take it, because quite frankly, when I thought about this and when I pitched to David, it was more or less like, there's no direction to this. And I don't know, how did you interpret the idea when I told you about it?
The direction being, we love Batman, and
that's all we need, right?
That's all we need. We just need that love.
Point in that direction that says we love Batman.
So it's going to be all the things that we love about Batman, which kind of feeds into today's show. But yeah, just the broad idea being everything that we love about Batman, the creators, the stories, the movies, the design, the everything, the comic art, just anything and everything that we love about him, we're gonna go into.
We're gonna just dive deep. And that's what I'm most excited about, because there are a couple of avenues. There's going to be some episodes that we're going to be recording down the road here that I'm really excited about, because it's what I would consider a bit obscure thought-wise. And then some, very basic ones that you would expect people in our fandom to explore. However, I am very interested in things that nobody's really thought about when you think about Batman. Thinking about all the creative teams that have existed over the decades that this character's, been around. Mm-hmm. Being able to look at the production side of like a movie and who created the sets, or to talk about the music. The music for the shows, the music for the movies, the music for the audio recordings. There is so much depth to what makes Batman exist, and how other people have managed to continue the legacy and to really just keep producing guys like us. I mean, when you and I were born, and the character was probably just over 40 something years old, but so we took this down to a Chicago tunnel, and you're gonna hear some trucks and cars and stuff. Don't be alarmed. But yes, that is what the Chemical Syndicate is all about. We are about Batman. Everything about Batman. We're going to just, any ideas, and hopefully someday we'll be more interactive with you, the listener. And, if there's something that you want us to talk about, anything that you want us to look into, explore, review, get our opinions, do a little bit of homework, kind of educate others on certain ideas. That's the goal. Long term is we're just going to keep going and going and going.
Yeah. Find more people to talk about Batman with. That's always fun.
Yeah, just talk about Batman with your friends. And that's what we're doing here today. We're talking about Batman with friends. Or in this case, just one friend. So that brings me to the most important subject of this inaugural episode, which is why we love Batman. And why we want to do this. And David, I would love for you to share with the world why you love Batman.
Yeah. So, thinking about this, there's a couple of different things that kind of pop into mind when we're thinking about why we love Batman. There is just the aspects of the character himself. So like him being a strong fighter is very cool.
He's a big strong boy.
Big strong boy. He being the smartest man in the room, the world's greatest detective. All those attributes spur the stories that are told by him. You have that aspect of it. You also have the meta thing of it, of what does he represent to you? For me, it's like him representing the idea that you can take the thing that would be the darkest part of you, or the thing that should have broken you, and making it the thing that makes you strong, the thing that makes you the best version of yourself. You know?
That perseverance.
Yeah. Him witnessing the death of his parents should have put him in a real dark path, and it has put him in a dark path. But he uses that darkness to make something good. He's become the world's greatest detective. he's become the world's greatest martial artist. It's given him such a strong sense of right and wrong and justice.
He's trained his body to physical peak perfection as much as the human body can go.
And it's given him the goal to make sure that what happened to him never happens to anybody else. But he uses that to become a better version of himself. And one of the other things that I really like about Batman, you could even say I love about Batman, is that he struggles with his darkness, which I think is something that we can all kind of relate to. He struggles with how what happened to him affects how he relates to everyone else. There's so many stories where he is kind of cutting himself off from his Bat family, from Nightwing and Robin and Batgirl, and everybody that he's kind of brought into his orbit. But he has to learn kind of over and over again how to let them in and how to ask for help, which is a big thing, especially with when you're dealing with trauma, is you have to learn how to ask for help, even though you feel like I'm the only one that can do this. This is all on me. It's my responsibility. That's the big thing with Batman in a bunch of stories, is that he says, this is my responsibility. I don't want you to get involved because I'm worried about you. I don't want you to get hurt like I'm hurt. But he has to learn again and again to let them come in, let him, or let them help him. And I think, again, that is just something that we can all relate to, is letting go of our ego and trying to bring people in that can help us when we know that they can't, you know?
Yeah.
So that's one kind of big thing that I like about Batman.
All the characteristics that has been sort of formulated over the years about who Batman as at least Bruce Wayne, the symbol of Batman.
Yeah, and the way that it, just like all stories for us, are some kind of metaphor, or the best ones, you know, are the ones that tell us something about ourselves or show us something that can teach us something, you know. Mm-hmm. The other stuff is the artwork that he inspires. So like, if you were to look at a piece of art of Batman, I feel like it just looks cooler than almost any other superhero that you can make.
What's the episode in The Simpsons with Alan Moore and the artist? I forget the artist who.
With
it's like, do you know
Daniel
people?
Klaus or
It's like, do you know
Art Spiegelman?
It's like, do you know anybody at Batman? I can draw Batman.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it's Daniel. No, it's Art Spiegelman that's asking him that. I'm really good at drawing his utility belt. He has all the utility belt stuff. So that, you know, just that how it's dark, it's moody. The artwork is very, like, it's the stuff that I think just looks cool.
That's what hooks you.
It's what hooks me. Yeah. And like I remember when I first started getting back into comics, because I read it, you know, when I was a kid, and then I was out of it for a while. Then watched Batman Begins, and I was like, I'm gonna start reading Batman again. And that was like the only thing that I read for like a long time when I first started getting back into comics. And again, it had to do with the art, because it was so like adult looking. Or, you know, like it looked like it was dealing with stuff that wasn't, I wouldn't be embarrassed to show to somebody. And yeah, it's got noir settings. It's got kind of gothic architecture, you know, playing with shadows, with light. That stuff is really cool to me to see. So that's one of the other things that I love about Batman, as well as the stories that can be told. I had mentioned noir. There's noir mysteries, noir detective stories that he inspires, that I think are just awesome, and the kind of stories that I really like to read. You know, you think of like Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. Just the writing in that is very cool. You know, that kind of clipped style, that kind of short, direct prose style, I guess. Also, like, being able to have like pretty believable horror or psychological thriller elements to his stories. I think it's very cool. Like, I think of like Arkham Asylum. When I read that the first time, I was like, they do this with Batman. It's the artwork in it by Dave McKean is very scary and very alienating, kind of. Like I felt so odd reading that.
Yeah, it's not the prettiest to look at, in my opinion.
No, but I think it serves the story really well, and it's like the Grant Morrison writing is very it it gets you inside Batman's head, in the dark part of Batman's head, where you can be like, oh man, this may be too dark. Like, I don't want to be here, but I got to get through this. Sometimes you got to go through that stuff.
You're in the snow, buddy.
Yeah. You're in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to push Clayface down a flight of stairs, even though he's just a man in a wheelchair. Which is one of the things that happens in that book, and is very odd.
Just sing it out loud.
Yeah. So yeah, the stories, artwork. On the movie side, the movies, yeah. He's a movie star. Did you know that?
Big time.
The action scenes. That's something that I love about Batman. The warehouse fight scene in Batman v Superman. So great.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, one of the best depictions of how Batman would fight in a I want to say real world. It's not really a real world setting, but just kind of showing like the things that we would watch on, or not watch, but the things that we would read in a comic book. It really brings that into the real world, into the moving world, you know.
Especially him going through the wall.
Him going through the wall, man. You gotta have that.
You gotta.
you gotta take that from the page to the screen. Those are the big things that I really like about Batman, and the things that hooked me into reading him again, and that kept me reading him. I say him as if he's like the one writing the stories, but reading the stories about him, and watching the movies about him and the TV series and everything. And it's the things that get me excited whenever I see something new coming up, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, how about you? What do you love about Batman?
I'm glad you asked. You know, to sort of kind of tell you my side of this, to you and everybody else that's listening, it all starts when I was a kid. You know, I mean, how else does anything start of a deep love or interest is typically in your childhood. Mine, I firmly believe I was probably like a tail end of being 3 years old, waking up on an afternoon, and my uncle had his, our family didn't own a copy of Batman on VHS, the 1989 movie. We had, copied it, probably renting it. They had the VCR, so, 2 VCRs, you can record a movie.
Very, very familiar with that. I used to have stacks of movies from HBO that my mom would tape off TV.
Getting blank tapes in large amounts was like, you knew you had all the time to record anything you want, and you never have to pay extra to watch it again, or you don't have to rent this again.
Yeah.
It's yours.
Yeah. I wish I still had them. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. I don't know. Streaming, everything's there. So I woke up one afternoon and my uncle Mike is playing the 1989 Batman movie. And it's that opening scroll, the whole opening portion of that scene where it's just slowly showing you the bat symbol, this concrete bat symbol. The music by Danny Elfman. And I woke up and I'm watching this movie. And I am into every moment of this. And I remember it. I remember it very vividly. The 1989 Batman movie, the first time I ever saw it, it was just like this cool, gritty, very colorful movie. You had Jack Nicholson as the Joker just going nuts, and it's funny. It's also, he's the bad guy, so I was also rooting against him. And Batman's this dark and brooding hero who shows up when you need him. And he's there to save the day, and he's fighting bad guys. He's knocking the Joker's fake teeth out. And, the ending of that, the ending of that whole battle of them on the cathedral is just iconic to me. I broke many Joker's heads off. I had probably a total of 8 Jokers action figures where I ended up breaking the heads off. Not because I wanted to, but I had to end every story the same as the movie. The Joker had to fall from a great height, and that's what he did in the ending of Batman. He fell off the helicopter and fell to his death. And that's how my stories ended when I was playing with my toys. And I never got like a bunch of Batman figures, but I had a bunch of Jokers. So the 1989 movie is what sucked me in. I wasn't reading comics at that age. I didn't really even know that it was based on a comic, to be honest. I didn't really know or learn about comic books until I was probably, I don't know, entering 10. I don't know. It's whatever. I didn't care about that. I knew that there was artwork.
You didn't learn to read until you were 10.
Oh, of course not. I hated reading as a kid. There was a lot of undiagnosed things going on, I think. But no, I was into the visuals. And when Batman Returns came out, I was all about that. Batman Forever came out. Heck yeah. Even though it was a different Batman, I was confused, but I'm into it. Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Heck yeah. I mean, I don't know, just in that movie. And then like Batman Robin, even back then, being like 10 years old and watching that movie. And,
that's kind of the prime.
Yeah, like
prime demographic there.
Yeah, you got me hooked. Like, it's another Batman movie. That's all I needed. Give me all the Batman movies. Give me all the toys. I couldn't get enough Batman. And then Batman the Animated Series came out, and that really, that came out like shortly after Batman Returns, but it was the extra Batman that I needed.
Right.
And it just gave me more, and it taught me more. And, essentially, it's just like I never stopped being a kid loving Batman. And I still think very fondly of those movies, and I think very fondly of that series. And then entering my teens, that's when I discovered comics. Oh. And that gave me a whole new level of appreciation that I was never aware of, that I could. That I could dive deep into, which is so foolish to say out loud and to think about, because it's like, how else does this character get the mainstream without the comic books? So, but for me, it's the reverse. And I think that's kind of like the way marketing usually helps, with maybe not quite synergy, but I guess it would be synergy. That's how you hook other people to get into this and how you get them into that. And, so for me, it was the movies that got me into the comics. The movies and like the TV series. So, and then in my household, everybody was, whereas my favorite Batman for many years was Michael Keaton. And for everybody in my household, and I'm sure in yours and anybody else that's listening, their favorite, Batman was Adam West.
Right.
Everybody grew up on that weird show.
Yeah. The only Batman. The only Batman until 89.
Yeah, that was the only Batman.
Yeah.
And now we have so many Batman.
Too many, almost.
I'm okay with that.
Never too many.
Never too many. You can't have too many Batmen.
Wait till this Flash movie comes out.
I know, right? Oh, my God. But yeah, when I discovered the comics, I was slowly kind of getting introduced, because I think when I started reading them, it was during the No Man's Land storyline, and that was kind of exciting for me, because I don't know, I felt, oh cool, I'm in the fold now. Like I'm a big boy. I'm reading comic books now. And I'd kind of fallen out of that a little bit because it cost money, and I was not getting paid enough allowance to collect comics as a kid. But man, Batman Begins, when that came out, that reignited things into a whole nother level, where it's like all of a sudden pop culture is like into Batman again. And that wasn't even the movie that really drove it to the stratosphere. That was The Dark Knight. That movie drove Batman back into the forefront of everybody's minds, where it's like, Batman's great, Batman's cool. And me, growing up on the 89 movie and everything, I was like, yeah, I knew that.
He's been cool.
He's been cool with me, man. What about you?
Batman Begins really like primed that pump for Dark Knight.
It really did.
To just like explode in kind of the pop culture mental state.
I had a job, so I was able to like afford Batman stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So when Batman Begins came out, I was like, got me some Batman shoes, got me this Batman hoodie, got me a couple of shirts. I can even afford to buy the movie myself instead of having to copy it from VHS. I was very happy about that. The Dark Knight just drove it to a whole new stratosphere. Dark Knight Rises, of course, was, a nice little finale to that trilogy. And I don't know, a lot of that reignited, or at least I shouldn't say reignited. I mean, it just really just helped strengthen and layer up more of my love of Batman with how the media stuff has been handled. And now when I got back into comics was like 2009. Yeah. And that's when I discovered like Batman The Long Halloween, Batman Year One, Dark Victory, Hush. Yeah. you know, I just to then fall deeper into the comics was an even greater joy.
Yeah.
That I didn't know I could find.
Yeah.
And how foolish of me not to assume that that would be a possibility. And here we are. And I love it. I mean, The Long Halloween is my absolute all-time favorite story. Mm-hmm. I'll tell anybody that. I'll never, it's the immediate answer. That's why I'll gift people the Long Halloween.
Yeah.
The book, not the animated movies. We'll talk about those another time. And overall, like, it's just like what you've hearkened on. It's who Batman is as a character that the creators and writers have managed to sort of, through a lot of, how should we say, trial and error. Mm-hmm. A lot of trial and error with what works with Batman, what doesn't work with Batman.
Yeah.
What's the thing that people can attach to? It's the moral compass that Batman has.
Yeah.
That Bruce Wayne has as Batman, and the symbol that he's created as with that character, with that vigilante, whatever you want to call it. At this point, I'm kind of losing that apparently. No, but I mean, like, it's just the symbol of what Batman is. It's being able to know that killing's wrong, and that justice should be served, and that everyone should have a fair trial, and that no one should have to suffer the kind of fate that his parents had or that he had to grow up with, and everything kind of goes along with that mythology and the things with Dick Grayson, the similarities with them, and all the other characters that have come along and been in the Bat family.
Yeah,
it's just an exciting, really group of things. And you look at the Rogues Gallery. Yeah, there's no superhero in the comic book medium, maybe besides Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That has a deeper roster of a Rogues Gallery than Batman. He's got the Joker, he's got the Riddler, he's got Penguin, Two-Face, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Scarecrow, Killer Croc, Bane, Clayface, Solomon Grundy.
Yeah.
Am I missing?
I mean, yeah, it's super deep and iconic. So many people would know. If you showed them a picture of Two-Face, they would probably be able to tell you, oh, that's a Batman villain. And just the way that they mirror Batman, or the way that they show a different aspect of Batman. I don't think there's many other characters that have that kind of rogues gallery that can highlight the hero as well. There's characters that have maybe one or two villains that really showcase a different aspect or a dark mirror kind of to their hero, but Batman just has so many that show so many different sides of his personality. Yeah, very cool.
And it's just the iconography of Batman. And like, kind of just once again, really reiterating the point that it's a symbol, at this point in my life and probably to many others, that, you look at the art of Batman, even the pulp stuff from back in from his inception to the 50s and the 70s to the grittiness of the 80s and 90s and some of the more beautiful sculptured art that we've seen in the last 20 some odd years. And it's unforgettable. It's absolutely unforgettable stuff to look at. You can't look away because Batman's just one of those cool heroes to just sort of look at. It's funny because, there's a part of me that wants to dive deep into how annoyed I get sometimes when some people, while being modest with me and wanting to be open and honest about why they like Batman, let's say it that way, so cruel. And I don't want anybody to take offense to this. You can share with me why you love Batman. We embrace that. That's totally fine. If I may be honest with everyone that's listening and with you, David, it's like, man, you ever get people that tell you when you talk about Batman and they just say like, yeah, I like Batman because, he doesn't have powers and he's just a guy.
Yeah. While that is an aspect that is cool about him, it's not always the aspect that I will latch onto.
Right. Yeah. It's like, well, you're describing that he's a human being, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But I think there's a greater meaning to the character thanks to so many other contributors and to how you make it.
Yeah.
I mean, for anybody out there listening, hey, if the reason why you like Batman is because he doesn't have superpowers, that he is a guy who's out there fighting the fight that he sees that he has to go out there and take care of himself, that's fine. There is no crime against it, but, there's more to him. There's more to the guy
Yeah.
who doesn't have superpowers.
It makes the other stuff that he does that much cooler and that much more inspiring, because he is just supposed to be just some dude. He's just
You
a
mean
guy.
to tell me you're just some guy in a costume? Yeah. And on top of that, too, it's like, when people want to go ahead and describe the nature of Batman being, well, I like him because he's dark, gritty. Like, okay, those are going to be overused terms I'm sure we'll hear over and over again.
Yeah.
And
he is that.
he is that.
Yeah.
I'm also tired of hearing dark. When you describe like a reboot of any movie, it's like, well, it's going to be darker.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
that's cool, I guess. I'm tired of hearing the word dark or darker. Like,
Yeah.
give it some other names. But with that being said, those are some of the reasons I love Batman. I feel like I can't really quite grasp it. I tried coming into this as prepared as I possibly could, but generally it all involves how
We're
I
not
was.
Batman.
I'm not.
We can't be prepared for everything.
Yeah. And it really just, in short on my part here, really, it's just a matter of how I was raised, how it was introduced to me, why it sticks with me.
Yeah.
There has been no other character that has, maybe aside from Captain America, and not even like comic book Captain America, but Chris Evans is Captain America that really inspires me and really motivates me and interests me. But Batman has been the one consistent fictional character out there that really matters to me. And that's why I'm doing this, and that's why we're here today. And that's why I love Batman.
Hell yeah, man.
Well, David, I think the world now knows why we love Batman.
It's out there.
The secret's out. Do we kill everyone?
Well, let's not become villains now.
Oh.
We're trying to emulate Batman.
Oh, that's true. Well, yeah. Okay.
We just gotta bottle everything up inside. That's what Batman does.
Suck in all this anger and do the right thing. Well, I'm really happy that we were able to give everyone an introduction of who we are, what we're about, and why we love the Batman.
Batman.
Batman. David, guess what everyone has the opportunity to enjoy the next time we put out our official awesome first episode. Officially the first episode. This is episode 0. I got to remind you guys, this is the Genesis. The real thing's coming out very soon. And guess what we're going to be talking about?
What's that?
Batman Year 1.
Oh, starting at the beginning.
Now, are we going to be talking about the comic or the animated adaptation, David?
Why not both?
Are you saying that we should talk about the comic and then talk about the movie?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Shane.
You're a madman, and I love you for that. Tune in for the next episode of The Chemical Syndicate, a Batman podcast. And we're going to be talking about Batman Year 1, the comic and the animated adaptation that followed after that, well, some odd years later. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Chem Syndicate. David, how do you spell that?
Oh, CHEMSYNDICATE.
Ooh, that's correct.
I can spell.
Yeah, I was reading. I didn't want to try and spell it myself. But yes, folks, you can find us on our social media at Chem Syndicate. And we'll let you know when we bust out Year 1. And we hope that you tune in. Thank you guys so much. Take care.
Bye.